Welcome back to my channel. This is Lario. Today I got a little project here. When I purchased this car, which is a 2000 Mitsubishi Eclipse GT, the previous owner already had warned me that the alternator was going bad, and due to the music upgrades and using the AC a lot here in New York City, the alternator has been giving me signs that it's about to, kick the bucket. So I'm gonna be replacing it. Matter of fact, I really don't understand why Mitsubishi went with installing an 85 amp as a factory unit. I seen other model cars like the Honda Accords that come with 120. And this one only comes with an 85. But went online and got me this baby. It's 160 amp, which should do more than enough for my needs. Now to get into removing this thing, got the jack stands there, and then the jack, we're going to be removing the passenger side front wheel. So this way we could get into that panel. There's one tension pulley. Let's see if we could get in here and get a good look. I can't see it there. See that chrome? That tension pulley, that's the one that we need to loosen. And in order to do that, we gotta remove the front passenger side wheel. And so this way we can have access to that. Okay, so first things first, remove the negative side battery terminal. Do yourself a favor, remove it. You don't want to end up electrocuting yourself while you're working. Yeah, it's really tight, huh? Okay. Let's see if I can separate it up in here. Okay, there it is. Loose. Okay, there it goes. Now I'm gonna work on loosening some of these bolts here. It's this one, and let's see if we could get down here. There's one right there that holds the alternator, and we might end up working on these two. They're all 14 millimeter. Remember that, 14 millimeter bolts. I got my trusty breaker bar right here. I'm gonna put that to good use. All right, let me start loosening these bolts up. Now I loosened out most of the bolts on top with the alternator. I just gotta worry about some bolts that I gotta take off, because this gotta come off in order to have access to that pulley. Okay. I believe it's this one, there might be another one. No, this one down here, and okay, let me get these things out. Now these are the bolts that are actually holding the cover in place. They're just plastic. If anything, I had used this screwdriver, so this way I could apply it and pull it out, and then I used a wrench just to get a good grip on it and pull it. Let's see, where else? It's down here. Is another one. Now I'm underneath the car. Let's see if I could get a good light in here. There's one nut here, I believe that's a 12, and there's another one down here. And I believe that's it. Once I get those two out, she should come out freely. Let's see over here. I don't see nothing there. Okay, let's get those two out. Okay, now we have access to the pulley that we need to loosen. It's this one right here, 14 millimeter, and then there's another one down here. Yeah, power steering is leaking, which I gotta take a look into. Yeah, power steering. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. Okay, let's get those two bolts out. Remember, loosen this one first. Just loosen it. Once you get down here to loosen the second bolt, the tension on the belt is gonna give way. Okay. Well, I got the pulley loose. Guess what? Look at this. This is the result. Let's see if you could actually see what's going on here. See this? Man, do I have to replace this part too? This is great. I'm gonna end up putting the alternator on, and then getting this car quickly back to the house so this way I can search for this. Wow, that pulley, the crank pulley. It's not good. This thing is actually spinning, as you can see here. It's not supposed to be like this. As you can see, the belt is actually spinning. Something else that I got to work on, but I'm gonna put on the alternator anyway. Once that I get this part also done, then I'll be able to switch this out, the Serpentine Belt. Even though it looks pretty good though, but I'm gonna end up switching it. All right, let me get this alternator on so we could get on my way, because I'm lucky I didn't go on a long trip. This is not good. Wow, this is the result from the alternator. It really did a number on this thing. Shit. Okay, all right. Okay, now that I'm ready to go and remove the alternator, grab right here the Serpentine Belt, fully release it. You can see it just fell down. Go over to the alternator and do the same. I'm gonna put this off to the side somewhere so this I could work with the alternator. This really got me twisted today, but it is what it is. Hold on, it's making contact with that oil. Okay, take it completely out of the way. That's right, put it back. All right. Release this nut first, which it doesn't have to be in that sequence, but I'm gonna remove. You can see it's already loosened. All right, let me get these two bolts out, then this way we could get this alternator lifted out of there. Now I lifted the alternator out, the old one. I'm going to be placing this bracket onto the new one, so this way we could do the install. Okay, move this screw. Wow, total disappointment on that. Oh man, on the crank pulley. But might as well that I found it now instead of actually finding. Actually the car leaving me on the road if I'm traveling up to 200-mile distance. Okay, put this to the side. Same thing. All right, give me a second, only got one hand. Okay, now do keep this in mind. That long bolt, where is it? See it in the camera. This one right here is going to be a little bit difficult to put on, because you got to properly align the hole from this side with this piece right here. You got to align it. It just gave me about a 10 minute stall there, but it's on. Now we're gonna place these two bolts back on, these two that go right here. And then we're going to be tightening up. See if I can get in here. Never mind. Let's work with it. Okay, now all the screws are on. I'm gonna worry about the Serpentine Belt, which I gotta put it back on. Actually, this one looks pretty good. It'll do for the time being until I get a new crank pulley. Okay. Now make sure when you're installing the Serpentine Belt, I do have a lot of sunlight over here. Make sure that everything is lined up before you start tightening up screws. Alternator's lined up. Let's go down underneath. I should have all the tools I need down here. Okay. All right. Lined up here also. Okay. Wow, man. Why would company make it all? This is like a plastic. It's like plastic. Some type of rubber coming off of the crank pulley. But let's tighten this thing up anyway. Now everything is done. Bolts, wiring, belt is tight. I think she's ready for initial startup. Okay, where's the key? All right. No, my back is dirty from all that dirt on the pavement. Oof. Voltage 14.3, 14.2. Nice. Plus we're gonna she immediately dropped down, probably because the battery is charged. Oof. Plus I'm gonna be trying out the AC. Okay. Nice, look at that. It's holding at 13.5. That's what I would expect from a new alternator. Plus that alternator that I installed is 160 amps. It's not like the stock that is cheap ass, excuse my French, but an 85 amp for such a large vehicle, and all the electrical stuff that it got inside. You know, the power windows, the alarm, door locks, everything else, you know, consumes a lot of electricity, and this is good. With the other alternator, once I turn on the AC, I will see it go all the way down to like 12.5, and then it'll continue dropping down to 11.9, 11.8, and that's when the indicator light, you know, the battery indicator light will turn on, which, you know, I got frightened there because I was quite a distance from the house. But once I turned off all the AC and everything else, then she actually, you know, got me home. But yeah, we do have some work left to be done in the car. As you saw, she had that crank pulley is really in bad shape. It shouldn't even be like that. At all, it shouldn't be like that. Actually, I'm going to be racing back to the house with this car, so this way I'll leave her alone until I get a new crank pulley for her. Okay people, this is an update to the video. A friend of mine, which he happens to be a mechanic, he used yeah, this came out good. This is the brand new piece, the harmonic balancer, aka crank pulley. That's the new one. The gun that he had to use was the larger one, which more than likely it put out something like maybe 450 foot-pounds of torque. I tried removing it by bump start. I tried using my own impact gun, which only supports 300 foot-pounds of torque, but I didn't have no choice but to take it to my friend, and then he had the large gun and put it on in less than 2 seconds. It came off. and the car is running smoothly now. I was able to test out the alternator. The alternator is working to specs. I'm leaving it as is now. It's all good. Am I lucky? Okay, now continuing with this. I'm actually looking at replacing this, but I'm gonna do that in a little while. But anyway, if you people like my video, please subscribe. If you have any comments or any questions concerning this video, please leave a comment below. I will answer as soon as I get to it, which I'm always available anyway. Please do subscribe, people. Please do subscribe. I'm gonna finish off with this car so this way I could get back on the road. I gotta pick up the wifey, and you already know it's one of those days. All right, people, you have a good one.